Welcome to Shom Machshava and Daf Shir sponsored Nishmas Aymiak V'Shalom Le'Avas Yitzchok. We're holding in Basra Daf Kuf Aleph. In this Daf, the Gemara discusses the shape and way that we're Kevurah and Rosh, the way you have the Kuchim, the way you have the place of the crypt where the Hameisim go into, and the Daf concludes in Hemshech HaSugya of when you can move a mace from place to place. This stuff is learned on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, and very fitting to come here and understand the idea of Kevurah that we learned in previous Shurim. We learned it in Nazir Daf Mem Ches and in Gittin Daf Nun Zayin, and we'll go into it again right now. The Gemara in Gittin Daf Nun Zayin says that there were children that were going on a boat, on a ship, and they knew they're going to Golus in order to forbid them to be used for Mishkav Zachar, for something bad. So they decided to commit suicide, to jump into the waters. They told the Gadol Sheboim, if we can jump into the water, will HaKadosh Baruch Hu save us? Will HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring us back? So he told them, of course, because it says in the Pasuk, Mibashan Ashiv Avshiv Mimtzulas Yam. What does it mean? What's the question over here that they asked? Will we be saved if we jump into the water? Why do they think they won't? So the Mashal Chidush HaGodes over there already says that if they're not going to be buried in the ground, maybe there's no way to come back. Maybe Gilgul Mechilos only works when you're buried in the ground. So you need a special pasuk to tell me that even from the sea, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring back the Techiyas Hameisim. And this connects to the Maharal and the Guraya in Bereshis that explains what is the idea of Kevurah. It says, Davar niflo lemevin soit Kevurah la'adam. What is the Kevurah? The Kevurah means you're not burying a mace because you have no place else to put it. But you're burying a mace because it's the idea of zuriya. You're planting a seed. When a person dies, you're planting him in the ground, so he will grow back. There will be Techiyas Hameisim through the Kevurah. The Kevurah is to put a person in the ground, and that's how you're planting this person for him to grow back at Techiyas Hameisim. And this is Davar Niflo. It's brought down in Tshuvas Halachas Ktanas. It says over there like this. He says, here's the Shiloh. Is Techiyas Hameisim Hameisim Misim? Or it's the normal way of the world. Because Baruch creating the world, one of the nature ways that we don't see today in this world, we'll see it as we get Techiyas Hameisim, is that there will be Techiyas Hameisim. So he says like this: if someone is buried in the ground, so naturally, so to speak, he's coming back to life. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in the teva that anybody who's buried is come back to Techiyas Hameisim. Someone who's not buried, someone who died a different death, he was burned, chas v'shalom, or he was drowned, lo yaleinu. These people, they have to have a Hameisim to bring him back to Techiyas Hameisim. And that's the pshat back in the Gemara and Gittin, that the kids are asking, we're not sure, we're not going to be buried in the ground. So will we have Techiyas Hameisim? Because we're not going to have the natural Techiyas Hameisim. And the Chiddush is, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does a nace for the ones who died at Kiddush Hashem to come back. And this is such a big musar to understand why Kevurah is so important. Because Kevurah is not just pshat, that's the davar roy, it's covered the mace. But that is how a person comes back to life. In order to come back to Techiyas Hameisim, a person has to be buried in the ground. If he's not, so then he has to be a nace. A nace doesn't happen to everybody, it happens only to people who deserve it. A regular Kevurah in the ground brings back Techiyas Hameisim. And the Shlo and Pashke Teitze brings the name of the Rekanti. That's the reason it's so important to bury a mace immediately. Because right away the process starts. Right away the process of Gilgul, process of what the neshama needs to go through has to go right away. So immediately you have to put him into the ground, because right away the process of Techiyas Hameisim begins, and that's why the Kevurah is so important. That's why it's so important not to move a mace, because it's in the middle of the process of Techiyas Hameisim. In Rosh Hashanah, we know the famous Mahashon Brachas that says that when a person doesn't see his friend for 12 months, he has to say Mechai Hameisim, because Rosh Hashanah, it's not clear that everybody's going to live. It's a new Techiyas Hameisim that we get in Rosh Hashanah. We're Nechtam Nechai. So if so, it's so proper that we're talking about in the day of Techiyas Hameisim, we're learning the daf of Kevurah, which is the process of Techiyas Hameisim. We should all be zoichet to be Nechtam Lechaim and get the Techiyas Hameisim of this year. Anyone meaning to get the Techiyas Hameisim that comes to Rosh Hashanah? Anyone who wants to join the Shom Machshava email list to WhatsApp group, please email shomachshava@gmail.com.